I don't know what I expected when I knocked. Maybe silence, maybe a polite excuse. I didn't expect her eyes to meet mine through the screen door and smile like that. It had been almost a year since I last saw her. Since college pulled me away and life happened, and my best friend stopped inviting me over every other weekend. But his mom, she lingered in memory longer than anyone else from that part of my life. I never told anyone that. The house looked the same. Jasmine vines curling up the mailbox. Wind chimes I always thought sounded a little sad. But when she opened the door, she didn't look the same. She looked better. Softer somehow. A gray streak ran confidently through her dark hair now, like she stopped pretending to be younger for anyone. She wore a loose cardigan over a plain tank, nothing flashy, but it hugged her in a way that made my throat feel dry. "Hey," I said, suddenly too aware of my hands. "I'm just here to drop off some of Matt's stuff. He said you'd be home." She tilted her head. "You remembered where we live?" "Yeah," I said. "Some places stick." She looked at me for a second longer than necessary, then stepped aside. "Well, don't stand there. Come in." Just like that, I walked in, heart thudding like I was 15 again. The place smelled like orange peel and warm coffee, the kind of scent that wraps around you before you can even think. "You look different," she said as I put the box down on the entry bench. "Hopefully better," I joked. She smirked. "Older, taller, quieter." Her eyes flicked toward me, slow and deliberate, but the same. I didn't know what to say, so I looked around. "You changed the curtains." She laughed softly. "God, no one notices that sort of thing." "I do," I said, and I meant it. She didn't reply right away, just sipped from the mug she'd been holding and leaned on the kitchen counter, watching me. It wasn't awkward, not exactly, just close, like something could tip the moment if either of us breathed too hard. I rubbed the back of my neck. "I didn't mean to interrupt anything." "You didn't." Her voice was low. "You really didn't." The clock ticked behind us. A bird hit the window and flew off. Time passed in small sounds. She looked at me again. "Matt didn't mention you were coming by." "Yeah," I said carefully. "I didn't really ask. I just wanted to see the house again." I watched her eyes change, just a little, like she heard what I wasn't saying. "You're welcome here," she said, setting the mug down. Her fingers lingered on the handle like she didn't want to let it go. "Even if it's not for him." That did something to my chest. I don't know what, but it cracked something open. I nodded, swallowing harder than I needed to. "Thanks." I wasn't sure if... Before I could finish, her phone buzzed on the counter. She glanced at it and turned the screen down without reading the message. Then looked back at me with a gaze I couldn't meet for too long without feeling it deep in my stomach. "I made too much coffee," she said quietly. "You want some?" My voice came out lower than I expected. "Yeah, I'd like that." She nodded once, turned, walked toward the kitchen. I followed slower, heart loud in my ears, wondering what the hell I was doing, and why it felt like the first right thing I'd done in months. Then, the doorbell rang. She froze mid-step. So did I. Neither of us moved. Not right away. She didn't answer the door right away. We stood there, still, like whatever was happening between us might shatter if she moved too fast. Then she breathed in, sharp, controlled, and stepped past me to open it. Some guy, mid-50s, wearing a golf shirt and a look like he owned the driveway. "Hey, Viv," he said, like they were picking up a conversation that never quite ended. She crossed her arms. "You're early." He glanced at me, barely nodding. "Didn't realize you had company." "I don't," she said, without looking back at me. "He was just leaving." I swallowed. My face went hot. Not from embarrassment, but something else. Something Messier. She shut the door behind him as they walked toward the kitchen. Her voice clipped and low. I stayed frozen by the hallway mirror, trying not to hear too much. But I caught phrases. Thought we were done with this? You don't get to walk in anymore. He's not your business. The words made my ears buzz. I wasn't sure if she meant me, or the guy, or both. I should have left. Any sane person would have. But my feet didn't move. Minutes passed. He left without another word to me. Door closed hard. She came back into the room with her arms still folded, like she needed a barrier. Sorry about that. Who was he? She paused. My ex-husband. I nodded slowly. Didn't seem very ex. She gave a dry laugh. Yeah, well, some people take longer to let go. She walked past me and sat on the edge of the couch like her whole body was tired from holding something in too long. I stayed standing. So, Matt didn't tell me you broke up. She raised an eyebrow. He wouldn't. He didn't like him. That makes two of us. Her lips curled. A reluctant smile. Then she looked down at her hands, twisting her ringless fingers. I stayed longer than I should have. For Matt. For comfort. For not being alone. She glanced up at me. Don't make that mistake. Something about the way she said it landed deep. Like she wasn't just talking about herself. I haven't exactly had a lot to stay in, I admitted. Most of the girls I've dated, it was just noise. Too much noise? She asked. Not enough quiet, I said. She looked at me then, long and unblinking. You always were more tuned in. That word stayed in the air like perfume. I sat down beside her, not close enough to touch, but closer than I should have. She didn't move away. You ever think, I said, about starting over? She hesitated. More than I let myself admit. Outside, wind rustled the jasmine on the porch. Something delicate. Then her hand moved, just a bit, and rested on the couch between us, not touching mine, but close enough that I felt the warmth of it. Neither of us said anything, but neither of us pulled away. Her fingers inched closer to mine, just enough that if I shifted even slightly, they'd touch. I didn't. Not yet. I should go, I said, but my voice didn't carry conviction. She nodded slowly. Probably. Neither of us moved. And then her phone buzzed again. A name lit up the screen. Matt. My stomach twisted. She stared at the screen, then turned it face down again. Her voice was quieter now. He's coming by later. He left his charger. I stood. Too fast. Right? Yeah. I shouldn't be here. You're not doing anything wrong, she said. But it sounded like she was trying to convince herself. It's him, I said. He's my friend. Her eyes locked on mine, expression unreadable. And I'm his mother. We stood like that, both breathing like we'd just run somewhere. Her hair was a little messy, one curl falling near her jaw. She brushed it back, and my eyes followed the movement. Too long. She noticed. I stepped back. She stood up too. Closer than before. Her scent hit me, jasmine and warm linen. My throat tightened. I keep thinking, I said, voice low. If you weren't his mom. She looked away. But I am. Silence cracked between us. Sharp. Real. Then, without warning, the front door opened. Matt's voice called out, Mom? I forgot. Oh. Hey. I turned sharply. His eyes moved from me to her, then back. His eyebrows knit just slightly. Didn't know you were still here, man. I was just leaving, I said. Vivian, Mrs. Hale suddenly gave a short smile. He brought your stuff. We were catching up. Matt nodded slowly. Right? Cool. I tried not to look guilty. Failed. He walked past me, grabbed his charger from the entry bench, then paused like he was trying to read the air. Well, guess I'll head out. You good, Mom? She nodded. Always. But her hand was still resting on the couch cushion, where mine had almost touched it. Matt left. The door clicked shut. The second it did, she let out a breath she'd clearly been holding. So did I. I turned toward her, heart pounding. That felt like Too close, she finished, brushing her hands over her sleeves. I nodded. Yeah. She looked at me, eyes softer now. This can't happen. I knew she was right. I knew it with the kind of clarity that should have made it easier. But I stepped forward anyway. I wasn't trying to start anything, I said. But I can't pretend it's not there. Her voice caught in her throat. Don't say that. Why not? Because I'll believe you. We stood inches apart. I thought she might kiss me. I thought I might. But she stepped back. And I let her. Still, her eyes didn't leave mine. And nothing about that moment felt over. I hadn't planned on coming back. After that day, after Matt nearly walked into something neither of us had the courage to name, I told myself it was done. Safer that way. Smarter. But then 3 days passed, and I couldn't stop thinking about her hand, resting just an inch from mine, how she hadn't pulled away. So I walked, all the way from the train station, past the neighborhood where I used to bike as a kid, past the park where I once dared Matt to steal a cone from the ice cream truck, past memories that all suddenly pointed to her house like a magnet. When she opened the door and saw me, she didn't smile. She didn't frown either. She just looked, like she'd been expecting this and hoping against it all at once. Is Matt here? I asked, knowing full well he wasn't. She shook her head. He's out. Can I come in? She hesitated, then stepped aside. The living room was dimmer than before. Curtains half drawn. No coffee brewing this time. Just silence, heavy and waiting. I shouldn't have come back, I said. No, she said. You shouldn't have. But still, she didn't ask me to leave. I sat down on the couch. The cushion still had the faint crease from the last time I sat here. She stayed standing, arms crossed like armor, watching me, wanting something she wouldn't let herself want. I keep thinking about your hand, I said. She blinked. Don't. It was close to mine. It didn't touch yours. It wanted to. Her breath hitched. I stood up, took a step toward her. Why are we pretending this isn't real? Because it can't be, she snapped, voice cracking. You're 22. I changed your diapers. For God's sake. I don't remember that, I said, almost smiling. And I'm not a kid anymore. That doesn't matter, she whispered. You're still his friend. I'm not here for him, I said. Not now. She looked away, but her lip trembled. You think I haven't thought about it? You think I haven't hated myself for it? Then stop hating it, I said, and just be honest. She stepped back. One step, then another. Her back hit the kitchen doorway and she didn't move, so I closed the space between us. Not touching her. Not yet. Just close enough that she could feel me. Close enough that I could see the way her chest rose and fell like she was trying not to drown. You think this is a game to me? I said. I can't sleep. I walk past strangers hoping one of them will smell like your house. Stop, she said, but her voice was barely a whisper. Tell me you don't want this, I said. Tell me to leave. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Her fingers curled tight into her sweater. And then someone knocked on the door. Once, twice, hard. We didn't move. The knock froze us both. Her breath caught. I stepped back like I'd been burned. She moved first, toward the door, quiet but fast, like she already knew who it was. I followed, slower, heart thudding. She opened the door halfway. It was Matt, again. But this time his face said everything. I left my jacket, he said, voice even. Too even. Didn't think you'd have company. His eyes shifted from her to me and stayed there. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. She cleared her throat. We were just... You don't have to lie, he said. Not to me. He pushed past her and grabbed the jacket off the chair by the stairs. Then turned to me. How long? His tone wasn't angry. It was worse. It was quiet. I shook my head. It's not what you think. He laughed. Dry. No? You're in my house. Again. With my mom. and you're standing too close. Vivian's voice broke in. Matt, please. But he wasn't listening anymore. Not to her. Not to me. He looked me in the eyes. You knew I trusted you, right? I didn't mean... Did you know? I nodded. Yeah, I did. He blinked. Then what the hell is this? No one answered. The silence was thick and choking. Then he turned to her. You couldn't find someone else? Anyone else? She looked like he'd slapped her. Don't what? Don't act like you didn't know what this would do to me. I stepped forward. Matt, don't talk to her like that. He spun. You don't get to defend her. His voice cracked. Not from rage, but from something worse. From betrayal. You were my best friend, he said. And you're standing in my living room trying not to touch my mother. Vivian covered her face with her hands. Stop. Both of you. Matt looked at her. Tell him it's over. Her hands lowered slowly. But she didn't speak. That pause, that hesitation said everything. He stared at her like something inside him shattered. Wow, he said under his breath. You can't. And then he walked out. The door slammed behind him so hard the picture on the wall tilted. She didn't chase him. She just sat on the edge of the couch and stared at the floor. I stood frozen, everything in me screaming to say something, anything, that might make this better. But then her voice came, soft and breaking. He knew. I frowned. What? She looked up at me, eyes shining. He saw the way you looked at me. Months ago. He asked if I noticed. I told him he was imagining it. She shook her head, laughing without joy. I lied to him. Again and again. I sat beside her slowly. This wasn't supposed to go that far, she whispered. And now it's already too far. Then her phone lit up on the table. A message. From Matt. One word. Don't. The message just sat there on the screen. Don't. Not a sentence. Not a question. Just a warning. Vivian didn't touch the phone. She stared at it like it might detonate. I don't even know what he means by that, I said. Yes, you do, she said quietly. I did. Don't choose him over me. Don't go through with this. Don't become something I can't forgive. I ran a hand through my hair, trying to breathe. We didn't plan this. She nodded. Doesn't matter. We both sat there in the thick, aching quiet, side by side, like we were waiting for a verdict. And somehow we already knew the sentence. I hate this, I muttered. She looked at me then, really looked. I don't. That stopped me. I hate the timing, the guilt, what it's doing to him, she said. But I don't hate you. Or this. She gestured between us. I've felt more alive these past few weeks than I have in years. That admission cracked something inside me. But it wasn't relief. It was grief. Then why does it feel like we're about to bury it? I asked. She didn't answer right away. Just looked down at her hands. When I first met your eyes again at that door, she said, I thought I was imagining it. That thing in your face. The way you saw me. I wasn't seeing anything that wasn't real. She gave a sad smile. That's the problem. I reached for her hand. This time I didn't stop halfway. Our fingers laced together with a kind of finality that felt honest. She didn't pull away. I don't want to be your mistake, I said. She gripped my hand harder. You're not. You're my reminder. Of what? She swallowed. That I can still feel something that scares me. I sat back, looking at her. Not the version I'd idealized all those years, not the unattainable fantasy. But her. A woman with a history, with regrets, with a son who might never forgive either of us. And I loved her more for all of it. I'll walk away, I said, if that's what you need, if it's what you want. She closed her eyes for a long moment, then opened them again clearer. I don't want you to walk away, she said. But I also don't want you to stay just because I'm afraid to ask you to leave. A long silence stretched. I stood. She stayed seated, fingers still curled around mine, like she wasn't ready to let go even as she said goodbye. I bent down and kissed the top of her head. Gentle, certain, then let my hands slide from hers. We didn't say another word. I walked out, into the evening, not looking back. But as the door clicked shut behind me, I knew something wasn't finished. Not completely. And maybe that was enough for now. 3 months passed. Not in silence, not completely, but in spaces. In breathing room. In unread messages and half-typed replies that never got sent. Matt never reached out again. And I didn't push. Sometimes, letting people choose distance is the only way you get to love them from afar. Vivian and I didn't speak for 6 weeks straight. Not a word. Not a glance, not even on social media, which honestly was a small miracle. But the space wasn't bitter. Felt like both of us were catching our breath after nearly drowning. Then, one morning, just as spring started peeling winter off the trees, she showed up at the bookstore where I'd started working part-time. She stood in the doorway looking unsure. She had no makeup on, her hair in a loose braid, a denim jacket that made her look impossibly young and somehow more herself than I'd ever seen her. I was restocking a shelf. I dropped the book. She smiled. Still clumsy. I was 12 when I knocked over your flower vase, I reminded her. And you blamed the cat. She laughed softly, then took a step closer. You remember everything, don't you? Just the parts that mattered. Her eyes searched mine. Is this okay? I didn't know what this meant. Her being here, us talking again. The space she'd left and the silence we'd honored like a sacred line. But I nodded. Yeah, it's okay. We walked to the coffee shop next door. Sat by the window like normal people. Like we weren't carrying the weight of a past too complicated to explain to anyone else. She stirred her coffee in slow circles. Matt's still not speaking to me. He's moved in with his dad. I looked down. I'm sorry. It's not your fault, she said. It's mine. I was his mother first. That mattered more. I forgot that. I stayed quiet. Then she looked up. But I didn't forget you. I met her gaze. What does that mean? It means, I'm not asking for us to pick up where we left off. I'm not asking for anything, really. She leaned forward, brushing a loose thread on my sleeve. The touch was light, but deliberate. I just wanted to see if we still saw each other. After everything. We did. It wasn't the wild kind of love people write songs about. It was quieter now. Realer. A little worn at the edges, but still here. I reached for her hand across the table. This time, nothing held us back. Whatever came next, whether it was rebuilding, redefining, or just existing, would be something we chose. Not a mistake. Not a secret. Not shame. Just two people, finally seeing each other fully. And maybe, in the end, that was the most honest kind of love.